Oh my goodness, it's Ramble time. So, hello everybody, Agent of Doubt here, world's worst SJW. I haven't been posting a lot, and I just decided to post at the end of this month because I finally collected a thought that I can share with the world. You're just going to have to trust me on this. I work as a therapist, and a lot of what I say to people is confidential. A lot of what I hear from people is confidential. And all of the interesting stuff that happened to me in the last 2 months, really, is not stuff that I can share on the internet with people, you know. If I did, none of you all would trust your own therapists if you have them. And, the world would fall apart, you know. No one would trust a confession box. No one would whisper a secret into their spouse's ear. You know, there'd be no secrets in the world. Everyone would just die with their secrets and not share them even with one person if those of us that are entrusted with secrets and keeping them confidential would just spew them out onto the internet. And so, strangely enough, I feel like I actually, in a getting to know someone experience, I feel like I ruined what might have been a friendship because of how much I pulled back on when somebody told me that it's okay if I tell them stuff because they have another friend that is a therapist that tells them things. And I was like, well, that's a horrible therapist. But, yeah, they got really snippy with me because I decided that not only is it bad to talk about confidential things, just the general subjects of what I deal with at work sometimes are not things that I want to dump on other people. Like, they come to me in my office and they just need to die there. Like, these problems and situations that I have had dumped onto me, I can just be the last person to hear about the shit and just terminate it right there and not spread shit into the world. Right? And it's a depressing thought, that, there's all of this crap coming my way and I just have to compartmentalize it. And when I go home, just shut the door on the office and just say, that's the end of that, and can't be sharing any of that because it would just be like a contagious depression that just went over the whole world. But yeah, I really feel like if you care about people, you don't take all the worst parts of your work and then dump it on those people. And, you guys that have watched me over the years, and anytime I labeled a video Ramble that you've watched it, like, I just don't hate you that much, that I would just be dumping some of this horrible shit that I've come across. So that's why it's hard for me to make videos lately, because that's been the biggest stuff I've had to deal with. Right before the end of 2023, I bought a couple cardigans, and this one has nice pleated shoulders and even has elbow pads, in case any of you needed proof that I was a therapist, yeah. Shit. What I actually turned the camera on to just dump out of my brain is not confidential. A lot of you are experiencing it independent of what I'm about to say. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was learning from a lot of people about how taxes are looking different this year because Trump signed a law in like 2017 that would basically, if he had won 2 terms, kicked the can down the road for a lot of taxes that needed to be taken from people's wallets until the end of his administration. But since he didn't win in the second term, it's actually happening at the end of Biden's first term, to where everybody who's doing their 2023 taxes right before 2024, which should have been completely irrelevant to Trump's political affairs if his plans had gone according to what he wanted and he had won his second term, but now is like, completely in play as a political thing because it's his fault that this is happening. Now people are doing their taxes, and instead of getting back a lot of money like they're used to, they find that they're actually now owing money, a lot more in some cases, to the government. And times are already tough. People are buckling down for hard times, and the bread's not going around as well as it used to. And hearing this from a lot of people in my community, that they're running across, my taxes don't look like I thought they would, and I actually owe a lot more. And it's making people make different decisions about their life. Like, I guess I'm not going on that ski trip because I'm not going to have the money because my taxes didn't come out the way I wanted. Or, now that's something that I owe, I have to cut this out of my life. People are canceling gym memberships, which it's really hard to do because, gym owners need to make money too. But yeah, it's just one more thing in this continued it's a non-addressed depression. I'm just gonna call it that, right? Like, you can argue with me about like the definition of what a recession and a depression is, but I'm gonna call it like I see it. People don't have the money to pay for just about anything, right? And it's getting worse every year. Prices go up, wages stay flat, right? And this has been a theme that I've talked about before on my channel, but it's getting bad enough that people are stretching their medications, because they can't afford their prescriptions. People are like, when they're supposed to take 2 pills a day, they're only taking 1, or they're taking, a pill that's once a day, every other day, right? People are not eating out as much. People are not spending money on certain sectors of the economy that are really hurting. And in my case, where I saw it, this is the big thing that I've saved up to talk to you all about. I've run into people who, because of their financial situation, can no longer or can't even start therapy, right? I've had people reach out to me wanting to inquire about therapy And then this is the most recent trend in my getting referrals from certain sources. I will have people look at what their copay is, and no matter what pay through I use, which could be Grow, Alma, Sondermind, Headway, whatever, whichever one I would plug their insurance in, their co-insurance, their copay that they have to pay before they actually do before they hit their deductible, before they hit their out-of-pocket maximum, the co-insurance that they have to do until they hit their deductible can be as high as 100% of the cost of the session. Right? And I wish I could actually set my own rate when I'm dealing with insurances, but some of them wouldn't take my full rate if I'm going to take business with their clients. Insurance affects me in that way, in that it has come into my field and decided, oh no, you guys don't get to make that much if you're going to see any of our clients. And when these clients that I have that have chosen or were given insurance plans where initially the co-insurance is 100% of the fee, and even though it's a reduced fee because the insurance company won't have me charging them my full fee, when they have to pay that reduced rate in full, and I'll just throw some numbers out there. Say my full session rate would be $150, and the insurance says, no, you're only worth like $109, right? If a person has to pay that full $109 without even a little bit of help from their insurance until they hit their deductible, they don't understand why their insurance isn't doing anything for them, even though many times they chose their own insurance. It's just they don't understand the words. They don't understand what coinsurance is, or copays, or deductibles, or out-of-pocket maximums. And I've had people tell me, I'm sorry, I can't be seeing you because my insurance doesn't work with you. But the truth is their insurance won't work, quote unquote, the way they think it would with anyone. Not in network, not out of network, because they're on a crappy plan that has them pay, the full or a large portion of my rate themselves until they hit a minimum deductible, which, let's say, just for sake of throwing out an example, let's say somebody had a deductible of $3,500, which is, about average for deductibles. That means that they would have to keep on paying if they were at 100% coinsurance until they hit their deductible. They'd have to pay 100% of the rate that I get paid until, if they saw nothing else as far as medical expenses and whatnot, if all they saw was me, the therapist, they would have to pay, about 30 weeks into the year, which means it'd be around August where the lower co-pays would start. Now, some insurance, as soon as you hit your deductible, you're now paying like 10% of the, say $109 that the insurance thinks that I'm worth. So then you're only paying $10.90 per session, until then you hit your out-of-pocket maximum, which let's say that's 5,000, and let's say you were in a car accident or something. Then, as soon as you hit your out-of-pocket maximum, then you get free sessions. And one of the things that I've run into now as a private practice free range therapist is there are people who will find out that they have hit their out-of-pocket maximum, and anything else they want to do, like say see a therapist or go to a chiropractor or get special shoes or an optometrist, whatever they can get for free after hitting their out-of-pocket maximum, they will go do. So this past year I had a number of clients have that situation around, say, after summertime, where they had hit their deductibles or out-of-pocket maximums, and all of a sudden they could then afford weekly to see me or bi-weekly or whatnot, right? But as soon as the first of the year rolled around, I found out which clients valued me to the rate that insurance will allow me to charge, which is not even my full rate, mind you. But, if they're going to be hit with that full fee, I actually understand. I really do. Because if you're in that, we'll call it middle class, but, there's really no middle class left anymore. But we'll call it middle class. If you're in that portion of America that is not on Medicaid and is not on Medicare for old people or disabled people, right? And you're not using VA healthcare and getting free healthcare in any other way, and you actually have to pay for your stuff, then if you have insurance and you got it through your job, you're probably working at a certain rate of pay. And let's say it's somewhere between $20,000 a year you're making to $120,000 a year. Anywhere in that range, do you think that you can afford to pay to see me weekly at even the lower rate of $109 per session? That's about, give or take $450 a month to talk to a therapist. Some people say, yes, I still need it, even though it's going to cost me $450 freaking dollars. And some people, they're like, you know what? I'm going to wait until next fall when I hit my deductible again, and then my coinsurance goes from 100% down to 10%, and then when I only have to pay, $10.90 to see you, then I'll come back, right? So, au revoir for now, sayonara, goodbye, adios. And that's a significant portion of my clientele that happened to just at the first of this year. And because times are hard, mind you, and get harder every year, and people's budgets get tighter every year because their salaries are flat, but prices keep going up year after year, and inflation keeps compounding on itself year after year versus people's flatlined wages, more and more people are avoiding taking care of themselves in ways that they maybe need to or would want to. People aren't calling ambulances I have known people to say, no, please don't call an ambulance. I'll get driven to the hospital because, you know, they don't want the extra fee. I've known people who just avoid going to the doctor altogether when they have full knowledge of medical maladies that could happen because they are avoiding the doctor, but they just don't want to be saddled with medical debt. And so it has been quite a thing for me to see. Right now, it's more than a quarter of my caseload and less than a third, but it's a significant number of my caseload has been either put on pause or decided to discontinue their service because cost. And I only started growing this caseload at the end of last year and was not very aware of this thing that happens. Like, of course, I've had health insurance before, and I knew that the deductible resets, each year, and usually that's on the first of the year. But I guess I just didn't take it out to its logical conclusion that if I was ever on the end of professionals that make their money from insurance, that I would see a difference in demand for my services around January 1st. And please, nobody do any GoFundMe for me. I'll do okay. And don't hit up my Patreon or nothing like that. I don't post enough videos for you to feel that indebted to me anyway, as far as rewarding me with a Patreon. I'm making enough money just fine, thank you. You heard my hourly rates. Or at least something close to them. And I'll do just fine. But what isn't doing fine with me is how it sinks my heart to see people not being able to continue to get the care that they want just because the 1st of January happened and their policies that they're on don't allow for them to get the care that they need or want. I have, however, seen other people's policies where one or two policies that I've seen so far, it was 100% anything mental health care was covered from the 1st of the year. And for those employers that those people had, you would just think that they might be paying a little bit extra for the insurance plans for their employees. And, good on them. But when somebody has a plan like that and then they switch jobs to a different employer that does not reward their employees with such good healthcare coverage, that's when they get confused about, hey, I have health insurance, but why is it that I still have to pay so much money to do anything with it? And it doesn't, start to kick in until this giant-ass deductible that I only hit towards the end of the year, so that I have to cram all my really expensive health care that I want into the end of the year, if I ever do hit the deductible or the out of pocket maximum, I need to like make sure everything's done, because as soon as the first of the year happens, I'm back to paying out the wazoo for healthcare. And I just thought about this, but some of you watching or listening to this might be thinking, well, Michael, you're not really healthcare because you're just mental health. Like you're a therapist. And I'm also an addiction counselor, licensed in my state too. So I have a really hard time with some people convincing them that addictions are mental health care, and mental health care is health care as far as how you would classify these issues. And it doesn't help that insurance policies sometimes treat mental health as a luxury that you don't need, and sometimes treat it as something that you absolutely do need and should get, and we're going to cover 100% of. So, yeah, it can have a prophylactic effect on like other healthcare problems that you could have, and I do refer people to other specialists for healthcare that it comes up in therapy that somebody has a problem, and I encourage them to seek the solution for it before it becomes a bigger problem. So yeah, mental health, as far as it being covered, can be actually better for the expenses of society as a whole. Just I'm just arguing my own value there, but when I get somebody telling me that they can't see me because their insurance doesn't work with me, even though I am paneled with that insurance company, sometimes it's because there are different tiers that they could have selected from, and they could only afford one such tier, and it had a giant deductible in it and a very hefty out-of-pocket maximum. So when they try to get anything done, they're basically they're screwed until they hit their deductible. Any sort of healthcare problem that they would have, like say a broken arm, they're still going to pay the entirety of the cost of it until it gets to like a really, really bad car accident worth of problems. So do they even really have healthcare coverage? I mean, for extremely bad tragedies, yes, but for seeing a doctor, seeing a therapist, getting prescription medication, sometimes no. They don't. Like, I will admit that going from like $150 to $109 just because you're part of a certain health insurance, that's part of the benefit of it, is that they won't allow me to bill you for more. It's a benefit to you. Yeah, but still, paying my full fee is something that nobody that I'm seeing could afford very easily. Because, if you're going to be seeing a therapist weekly and paying over $100 per session, that's a chunk of money. And when people are spending half of their income or more on just their housing costs, you know, I feel like people are having to choose between mental health and putting food on the table, mental health and putting gas in the car to be able to get to work. And it's just it's getting to the point where I'm a luxury instead of something that is helping very diagnosable mental health issues that should be addressed with care. Yeah. Now, I will wholeheartedly admit that when prescriptions become luxuries, then I'm put into my place perspective wise. Like that's such a worse issue, and I would rather somebody get their life saving medication than see me. You know, priorities here, right? But yeah, I just I worked very hard to build my practice. You know, after I got back from my stepmother's funeral, that's when I decided to start taking on clients, and everything was in an upward trajectory, but the switch over from insurance really has put a dent in that trajectory. It's still going to trend up, I'm pretty sure, after this month. I have taken on clients this month, even right after the changeover, because some people, their insurance situation is different. Like they didn't have insurance before the first of the year, and now they do, and that's a thing. But for a lot of people, that deductible reset that happens at the first, it's just the end of the party as far as being able to get the care that you need, want, or deserve. So that's what's been going through my head lately, as far as the things that I can share to the internet world. That a lot of people just don't understand insurance. It's very convoluted. It's like kind of like the tax code. And when people leave the realm of qualifying for Medicaid and using that for their insurance and not having a copay because they're on Medicaid, and then they climb the ladder to just that point where they now qualify for insurance, and Medicaid no longer will cover them because they're making too much money. And then they end up paying so much for their health care that they're back down to that level of poverty that they had before they, got that better job. They don't understand why, now that they have insurance instead of Medicaid, that they have copays. They've never been in that world before. And so they don't understand when they try to use their insurance and they still have to pay an ungodly amount of money for anything, because everything is expensive, right? They just don't understand that, that's how it works until they hit that certain deductible amount. And the same thing goes for people who were in the military right out of high school and then, had free health care while they were in the military and then maybe got VA health care afterwards. They don't understand how copays work. People who have been disabled and been on Medicare, they're out of the copay world anymore. And so it's really difficult for a lot of people to grasp this first of the year thing that happens for that ever dwindling middle class that is being squeezed very hard for the cost of everything. It's very hard for them to understand that, like, shit has gotten too expensive. And the first of the year is an event that a lot of people dread, and they're trying to get everything done before that happens. And so now I'm on the receiving end of that, as far as being a professional that has to, you know, take into consideration that I'm going to have clientele that can no longer afford me for a certain part of the year. Wow. Everybody, take care of yourselves. I'll make another video when I have something to say.